Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wonderside comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed, lab-proven to work fast, and proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wonderside's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wonderside.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wonderside.com. Wonderside. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wonderside today.
If you've been thinking about getting serious with your money, like actually serious, now's the time. The Motley Fool is offering new members 50% off their iconic stock recommendation service, Stock Advisor. This is the same service that's crushed the market with recommendations that have returned 1,057% since inception, compared to the S&P 500's 180% over that same period. This isn't guesswork. The Motley Fool has a track record of finding companies before they become household names. So if you want to invest smarter and you like saving money while doing it, go to fool.com/listen to claim your 50% off discount off a 1-year term of Stock Advisor. Again, that's fool.com/listen. Returns of 1,057% are from the Motley Fool's product Stock Advisor and measured against S&P 500 returns of 180% as of July 10th, 2025. Past performance is not an indicator of future results. All investing involves a risk of loss. Individual investment results may vary.
Welcome to the Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw.
And I'm Sean Liang.
And you're back.
I'm back.
It's been a while.
It always has, you know?
But you're here.
Yeah, I'm here.
You're here because you want to see two big, hairy monsters fight one another.
That's what I don't know if I'm going to fight anybody.
Oh, well. Oh, God. And we're joined today by a frequent guest of the Kulturecast and a podcaster in his own right, host of the Projection Booth podcast, Mike White.
Hey guys, glad to be here.
And we're also joined by senior editor for the Kulturecade, Zach Wickwire.
Good to be back again.
Joined again.
Yeah, once again. This is like, my third time this month?
Yeah, your third time this month. And you have only coincidentally been on one good movie.
Oh, ouch.
Oh, geez. So today we're going to be talking about King Kong versus Godzilla from 1962. The original King Kong versus Godzilla, because from the sound of it, we're going to be getting King Kong versus Godzilla again here in about 4 years. So that's a thing that we needed. But before we talk about that film, have you guys been watching anything this week?
Well, I had to rewatch King Kong vs. Godzilla, both versions yesterday, as well as Duck Soup, watching that for an episode. And then last week I watched I Am Not a Serial Killer, which I enjoyed quite a bit. So I was doing some research on Christopher Lloyd and watching some of his newer stuff.
So I think the real question is, Mr. White, why were you doing research on Christopher Lloyd?
Well, I was doing a Q&A with him up at the Fan Expo 2016 in Toronto. And so I wanted to be sure to bring up his latest stuff.
Gotcha. I heard a rumor that you and I may or may not have gotten Korean food while we were in Toronto. Is that correct?
I disavow all knowledge of that transaction.
It never happened. We weren't there. Oh, man. That Fan Expo in Toronto was something else, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. But I did manage to get a copy of the audio. It doesn't sound that good, but after a lot of tweaking and fiddling, it looks like that Christopher Lloyd Q&A will be coming out.
Well, that's good. I mean, at least it wasn't a complete bust, which would have been terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike and I were both in Toronto at the same time, which was surprising.
Tore that city up.
Yeah,
Woo!
I did all the touristy things.
You even paid to go up to the CN Tower, buddy.
I did, like a fucking shill. Like a fucking shill. Like the good little shill that I am. And you know what? Side note, you go to the top of one building, you kind of gone to the top of all buildings.
Especially in that city.
As far as I'm concerned. So, especially a city that's, a big metropolitan city. They kind of all look the same from 170 stories up.
Boy, those people sure look small down there.
Yeah, right. Jeez, ain't that the truth? What about you, Zach? You been watching anything this week?
Pretty much all I've watched this week are the movies that we did podcasts for. So just some Gamera and some Godzilla vs. King Kong. I honestly haven't had much time to do much else. Just been pretty busy with Kulturecade stuff and my normal job. So yeah, just haven't had a ton of time for TV or movies or anything this week.
I know the feeling. What about you, Sean?
I think the only thing I watched that was new was that Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Is that the right? Yeah, that's right. To the Zombie Apocalypse that came out like last year. And I was like pleasantly surprised. I thought I was going to suck terribly. And it was. There were some things that were just terrible, but it was fun. Like I enjoyed watching it. So that's kind of it. That's really it. It's kind of been a sad.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with that movie.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I expected trash, but I guess I was pleasantly surprised by how much it didn't suck, I guess.
It was pretty middle of the road.
Yeah, it was. It was that's exactly what I'd say, and that's what's sad about it.
Seems like I had a pretty full week of watching stuff. I started watching Narcos on Netflix.
Ooh,
pretty good. I finally got around to watching Stranger Things. It was good.
I'm sure it's been overhyped for you by now.
I used to really let hyping stuff kind of get in the way of my enjoyment of things. But since we've been doing the podcast, it's kind of tempered that a little bit. I tried to also stay away from any of the hype talk about it. I mean, I knew that it's the big sleeper hit of the summer. But I wanted to watch it once they kind of decided whether or not they were doing a second season and if it was going to be the same characters, so I could see if there was any point getting invested in any of the characters or giving a shit. Because with a show like, say, American Horror Story, that's an anthology show, it honestly becomes hard for me to get invested in any of the characters because they all, they have a finite amount of time on the show. So, I mean, at the end of the season, they're either dead or, in American Horror Story's case, they're most likely dead. So with Stranger Things, they're like, well, we're doing a season 2, all the same characters. I was like, okay, well, I can maybe get invested a little bit in the characters. I enjoyed it. I would say that like a lot of things that the kind of mainstream pop culture folks get a hold of and dig their claws into, it was pretty overhyped from what I could tell reading things after the fact. But I thought it was good. And I mean, for anyone who is a fan of stuff from the 80s, it's pretty obvious what it was going for. Yeah. I think it was pretty successful in achieving that kind of 80s Stephen King, Gremlins, It, any number of movies feel that it was going for. E.T. I enjoyed it, but I'm not going to say it's the best thing Netflix has ever done, because that's Orange is the New Black, obviously. Hey. So
it's not automatically the best thing just because you see tits in it, Chris.
It's the best thing because now Kate Mulgrew, instead of being Captain Janeway from Voyager, is now known as Red from Orange is the New Black at every con I've been to in the last 5 years. That's why it's the best. It's almost like Voyager didn't happen. Which, judging by the Star Trek 50th anniversary video that CBS released, the original series, Next Generation, and the new movies are the only things that happened anyways. So, fuck Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise.
Well, I can agree with the fuck Enterprise thing.
Mike, we've had this conversation before. That intro song is the best song of a TV show ever.
Right up there with Firefly.
Oh my, I don't want hate mail on this podcast because you don't like Firefly.
I like Firefly once it gets past those opening credits. My God.
You want to talk about overrated and overhyped? Let's not go down that. Let's not go down that.
Had
path.
you seen it in the original series intention, then in the order But they didn't do it right. That's why people don't understand it.
It's just another reason that Fox is taking things down away from us too soon. Come on. It had so much potential.
I think we should ban that and Rotten Tomatoes. They don't understand.
If you've been thinking about getting serious with your money, like actually serious, now's the time. The Motley Fool is offering new members 50% off their iconic stock recommendation service, Stock Advisor. This is the same service that's crushed the market with recommendations that have returned 1,057% since inception, compared to the S&P 500's 180% over that same period. This isn't guesswork. The Motley Fool has a track record of finding companies before they become household names. So if you want to invest smarter and you like saving money while doing it, go to fool.com/listen to claim your 50% off discount off a 1-year term of Stock Advisor. Again, that's fool.com/listen. Returns of 1,057% are from the Motley Fool's product Stock Advisor and measured against S&P 500 returns of 180% as of July 10th, 2025. Past performance is not an indicator of future results. All investing involves a risk of loss. Individual investment results may vary.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
And us.
Brown coats for life. Oh, shit. I think we just pissed off like a fair amount of people. And we pissed off the DC fanboys and the brown coat fanboys. Well, let's try to piss off some King Kong versus Godzilla fanboys. How's that? King Kong versus Godzilla came out in 1962, directed by Ishiro Honda again. It's written by Shinji Sekazawa, and the American version has writing credits from Bruce Howard. The IMDb synopsis for the film is: a pharmaceutical company captures King Kong and brings him to Japan, where he escapes from captivity and battles a recently released Godzilla.
Godzilla has a brain about this size. He is sheer brute force, while Kong is a thinking animal. His brain is considerably larger, about 10 times the size of this gorilla's skull. Being instinctive rivals, there's no doubt that they will attempt to destroy one another.
King Kong versus Godzilla, heading for their colossal collision, shattering every obstacle that stands between them in the most fantastic rampage of annihilation ever recorded on film. See King Kong stamp Tokyo into the ground, holding a beautiful girl in his grasp. See Godzilla destroy an entire army. See King Kong trapped by the blazing barrier of 1 billion volts. But nothing, nobody can stop the great showdown when King Kong and Godzilla meet to fight for survival of the fittest.
Get your opinion on the film because you watched both the American and Japanese version. So give me your quick thoughts on the film.
Well, the word that comes up when I think about the movie is it's goofy. It's definitely very goofy. And I can't say that there's a whole lot of depth to it. there's definitely a lot of comedy. I mean, that the guy who is he running the pharmaceutical place, or is he running the kind of commercial, the television station? I think it depends on which version you watch, what you might kind of think of the one character, Mr. Is it Toro or Caro? But he's definitely a very comic character, and there's a lot of comic moments happening in this film. But it kind of bounces back and forth between comedy, and then, of course, you have a giant monster or two giant monsters who are stalking around the country destroying things. So not necessarily the funniest thing in the world, but there are definitely a lot of moments of levity in the film. So I would say it's goofy fun. How's that?
I think you're right. And it's kind of strange that, Ishiro Honda directed Godzilla 1954, which, I think is kind of the mold from which a lot of the films that we've watched so far kind of base themselves around, specifically Gamera from last week. But I mean, this is his second Godzilla film that he's directed, and the tone of the two films couldn't be farther apart.
No, Godzilla is deathly serious. I saw the original.
It's played straight.
Yeah.
It's played super straight.
Oof. Yeah.
And this movie couldn't be farther from that.
No.
Period. So, Zach, what did you think of the film?
I didn't mind it. I think it might be a nostalgia thing for me, just because I watched the film a lot when I was young. I mean, it's enjoyable, mindless fun. It's nothing you have to really sit there and overthink. It's just, like Mike said, it's just two giant monsters just, fighting each other in the Japanese countryside. Obviously, like, the special effects and stuff have not aged well at all. I think this is a movie that's kind of like different from a lot of other Godzilla films, and I think that has a lot to do with King Kong being in it, because that meant that Universal had their fingers in the production, just because they own the Kong character. So I think there were probably mandates handed down by Universal that probably caused it to be quite a bit different from other Godzilla films of the era.
What about you, Sean? I'm assuming, like myself, you'd never seen this film.
Never.
Before.
It's funny because I don't know anything about Godzilla was the first time I had seen anything, and it was interesting because it was very different. It's funny. It did feel like a Universal movie. It was like it felt just much more mainstream, and once I got to the point where I realized that I didn't have to rewind every time I missed one of the subtitles, I had a lot more fun watching it, because there was a lot of big set pieces and big action scenes that were really fun to watch. Although I agree, Zach, some of those special effects were pretty comical. And actually, I thought it was interesting because I thought the special effects were much more effective in the original Godzilla, which was black and white. And I thought that was really fun to notice. But then, as I was watching this movie, one of the things I really enjoyed about it is that, like, I was kind of like transporting myself that this was like one of the first movies of its kind that I had seen like it. Like my favorite scene was with the giant octopus, and some of the things they did must have looked crazy for the first time. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I kind of liked that just because of its nostalgia.
Yeah, I'm sure 50 years ago, like, that would have, like, blown people's minds. Like,
yeah.
Having the octopus on the screen and you could see the villagers in front of it, and then
grabbing them.
Yeah, and then seeing Kong, like, tossing the rocks at him and stuff. Which, I mean, I don't know how you guys watched it. I watched Universal's Blu-ray release of the film, and they did quite a good job with the high def transfer, and it did not help the special effects in the least.
Yeah, I kept thinking it would have been almost cooler to watch it in black and white.
Yeah, if it would have been black and white, or even off of a VHS tape, I think it would have been a little more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah, some movies don't need that high definition.
Yeah.
We need to restore this so it looks better. Oh my God, what have we done?
Particularly low budget films, although I will say the Godzilla 1954, I watched that on Blu-ray as well, and that just looks fantastic in high definition.
But it just works so well, like, in that they knew what they were doing and what they were working with. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool. Like, it may not be what we have today, but it was effective.
But let's be honest here. Godzilla 1954, restored on Blu-ray on the Criterion Collection, it helps that the movie is in black and white.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this movie being in color, it doesn't do itself any favors.
No. There was one moment I was laughing about where people are, I think it's some army guys are running, and it's taking place at night, and the army guys almost look like they're in black and white while the stuff in the background is all in color. And I was just like, wow, that looks really bad.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Anytime that there was foreground stuff going on where they had.
If you've been thinking about getting serious with your money, like actually serious, now's the time. The Motley Fool is offering new members 50% off their iconic stock recommendation service, Stock Advisor. This is the same service that's crushed the market with recommendations that have returned 1,057% since inception, compared to the S&P 500's 180% over that same period. This isn't guesswork. The Motley Fool has a track record of finding companies before they become household names. So if you want to invest smarter and you like saving money while doing it, go to fool.com/listen to claim your 50% off discount off a 1-year term of Stock Advisor. Again, that's fool.com/listen. Returns of 1,057% are from the Motley Fool's product Stock Advisor and measured against S&P 500 returns of 180% as of July 10th, 2025. Past performance is not an indicator of future results. All investing involves a risk of loss. Individual investment results may vary.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror. We'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Like the part with the octopus where they had the villagers running around in front of this what is a live octopus, an actual octopus that they filmed with miniatures, but everything that's going on in the foreground is black and white, or the color is like very muted.
Yeah.
And it's kind of strange.
You can see that especially like when he throws the giant boulders and like it's literally, you can see the shadow bouncing off the wall. But it's great. I mean, it's just so fun. Like, I think that's what's so fun about this movie now is going back and looking at the techniques and just looking at how, you know, people had to watch these movies. And I think it's kind of fun. That's the fun part.
Well, and what cracks me up about this movie is doing research and stuff prior to this, I honestly, if you had told me King Kong versus Godzilla, was made in the 60s, I would not have believed that it was made in canon with the other Godzilla films. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it is, obviously. I mean, it's made by, it's directed by Ishiro Honda. So, and it's considered Godzilla canon. I would have thought that this is one of those really strange, like, we're just going to make this movie. Who gives a shit? We're just using King Kong. Come at us and do something about it. No, I mean, this is canon characters fighting each other. Obviously not King Kong. I mean, not King Kong canon so much, but he only has one film to his name, the King Kong film. Obviously there's other films, but when people think of King Kong, they think of King Kong, the original King Kong. And I mean, this movie, for being what it is, this movie is insane. Just to think about what it took to make this movie and kind of the path syncing up. But, like you said, Mike, this movie's tone versus the Godzilla film that Ishiro Honda directed before this one, it is so strange to me that this movie is played for laughs. That so much of it is played for laughs.
Well, even comparing it to the original Godzilla, that's pretty serious as well. There's moments of levity here and there, but it's taking two pretty serious sci-fi films and really playing them for laughs. I mean, you have to do it with even a title like King Kong versus Godzilla, and just the theory of like, okay, let's have the world's biggest reptile versus the world's biggest ape, but they could have gone a little bit more dark with it, I think.
Well, and I think they should have. For me personally, not that I'm a huge proponent of everything needs to be dark, because I'm not, but...
You're no Zack Snyder.
Oh, well. Oh, no, I'm not no Zack. I'm not a David Ayer either, so... I am more of I'm more of realistic about this. You have two giant monsters destroying the city and killing people. You can't really play that for laughs.
Well, to be fair, I mean, they were never really in a city in this movie because, like, it all just kind of.
At one point, King Kong grabs a subway car, picks it up, and throws it against a building.
Oh, that's true.
Everyone inside is dead.
Yep.
No, he's not in a city, but he's wantonly just murdering people. So,
in a way, I think the lack of really any city shots during the monster fight almost made this movie feel like it was cheaper than maybe like even the original Godzilla, which primarily took place in Tokyo. I also think it's kind of weird, like just how different the Godzilla himself acted in this film versus 54, especially when you consider that Haruo Nakajima was in the suit for both movies. So, I mean, it was the same guy playing Godzilla in both films, and it was such a drastically different character. I mean, it's almost the same as looking at Ishiro Honda being the director and how drastically different the tones of the two movies were.
It almost makes me wonder if it was one of those things like where when it came out, it was embraced by an audience that kind of then changed the fandom. You know, one of those like kind of like looking back at like I hate to have to use this reference, but I will. But looking at something like Kiss, where it was like this, you know, hey, heavy rock band and all this kind of stuff, but kids loved it. And next thing you know, they're doing a Hanna-Barbera TV special. You know, so it's like they're on one record, it's like Dear Victims, and then on the next record, it's like, hey kids, we're here, we're Kiss, we're ready for Saturday morning cartoons. You know, so it almost felt like, you know, here's Godzilla, he's a huge badass, and I wonder if the fandom kind of changed him into being, oh, Godzilla's not that mean, he's not that bad.
I feel like that's the case. I mean, you look at a film like All Monsters Attack, which would come out 7 years after this one, where, I mean, Godzilla has gone full, you know, friend of children, you know, helping little, I forget his character's name, little latchkey child.
Not Timmy.
They turned Godzilla into Gamera.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is kind of the beginning of that, because he's, I wouldn't say he's the defender of Japan in this film, but you could make the case that he is.
Well, it cracks me up too in one of the early scenes when you've got the two guys who end up going to Faro Island, aka Skull Island for anybody else. Just how they're like, what? A giant monster? How could that be? And I'm like, wait, do you guys remember Godzilla from like a few years ago? It's like, why are you laughing about this giant god monster that's on this island? You still don't know that it's an ape or anything. So that's funny to you, and you guys don't remember how Tokyo was destroyed a few years ago?
Right. I didn't like I said, it's so strange to me that this movie is canon with the other Godzilla films, and yet they act like the other Godzilla films never happened.
Right.
I mean, you couldn't do that in this day and age. You know, Marvel jerks themselves off. You know, as much as I like the Marvel movies, they jerk themselves off on screen every time. And they're like, remember when this happened in the last movie? You can't do something like this anymore where you practically forget that the other movies existed.
Right. It's almost like a Evil Dead 2 or Desperado or even Beyond Thunderdome compared to a Mad Max, where you're just like, wait, those two characters know each other. And no, they don't. They're playing different characters, or, you know, it's the same movie again, but one's played for laughs. And that's almost kind of the way that this is. It's like, well, this is Godzilla when it's played a little bit more for laughs.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, though. I have to say.
No, I mean, if the movie's going for laughs, it's going for laughs, as far as I'm concerned, right? It's going for laughs, it's going for laughs. But it's just a little strange and a little bit of a stark contrast to Godzilla being a allegory for the U.S. nuking Japan and like post-nuclear fallout and how a society copes with that. Like it's a very strange shift from those two characters and what that character means in the scope of the film and how they're presented.
I have a feeling that he has probably vacillated over the years as different filmmakers have approached him and as different things. He seems more like a product of the time than anything else. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's, you know, because I kind of grew up on these movies as well. And, you know, every day after school at 4:00, they would have a different Godzilla film on, and movies like this, the one with where it's him and Godzuki and it's just all playful and everything. I mean, he was played for laughs for a lot of it, so that I think that's why seeing the original Godzilla is always such a shocker to folks when they have never seen the non-Aaron Burr version, or even the Aaron Burr version, I think, is darker than a lot of these goofy ones that we were seeing and that we were growing up on.
Kind of interesting, too, that they really, eventually they do go back to that darker, like,
right.
Godzilla is a horrible, destructive presence in the later films. And I mean, after the movies of like the 60s and 70s, I mean, that's kind of welcome.
Well, and that's my, thing is these movies, I mean, these are kind of what I've seen, what I remember watching, these kind of all mesh together, right? Where Godzilla's just like, and he's helping out Earth again. And he's protecting the humans again, because the humans can't protect themselves against Godzilla. That kind of gets old, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. And let's just be glad we didn't have to subject ourselves to the Hanna-Barbera cartoon that Mike had mentioned. That was the version with Godzuki or the like 98 Godzilla or any of that.
Excuse me, sir. The 98 Godzilla is a masterpiece. I don't know what you're talking about.
Now you are going to get hate mail.
I'm okay with that. I still enjoy the 98 Godzilla for as bad as it is. It is bad in the best way. It's kind of like this movie. It's goofy bad. It's like the 98 Godzilla, I never felt like it was trying to take itself seriously. I hope. Maybe it was, and I just misread it. Let's talk a little bit about the design choices in this film, if you want to call them choices. What did you guys think of the kind of King Kong redesign? That I mean, I'm trying to find nice words here, Mike.
Well, there's a lot of King Kongs in this movie. I'd say that there's at least 3 different King Kongs in this film, right? Because there's one where the actor seems like he's able to use his hands. There's one where he's got these arm extenders on, which
like they sell at the Halloween stores.
Oh God, they're huge, and he just kind of flops those around. And then there's the close-up Kong, which is as far from animatronics as you could possibly get. And that, every time that happens, I can't stop laughing. When he's sucking down that soma, the berry juice, and when he's eating the electric wires, that's just hilarious.
I could not stop laughing either. That shit was insane. When he's just like, when you see Godzilla or King Kong's emoting through his eyes and his mouth,
yes,
it is so horrifying to watch because it's like a hand puppet, right?
Because the teeth are always like jagged out, and then it's like it's great. Actually.
It's got to be a hand puppet, right?
It looks like a hand puppet, yeah.
Okay, I mean, I've seen better emoting out of a sock puppet at like a children's theater. It is really not good, but I think it adds to the charm of the film.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
It's like the most, yeah. Because like you see Godzilla like clapping after it like attacks. I mean, it's the emoting coming through the suits is probably the best part about this movie, and like the camp that you're talking about.
Yeah, the scene when Godzilla and Kong meet for the first time, and Godzilla like starts clapping and like jumping up and down, like is just completely ridiculous.
I love it.
They don't do a very good job, and I don't think that they cared, frankly. They don't do a very good job of convincing me that these are not just people in suits. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. In Godzilla 1954, I honestly believed that it was like I was able to suspend my disbelief to believe that's Godzilla. In this movie, I did not believe that for 1 second. I was like, that's a dude in a suit. Or that's a toy. You forget, Mike, that there's actually like 4 or 5 Godzillas, because then there's also miniature Godzilla and then toy Godzilla that they just roll down hills.
Oh yeah,
or throw.
There's a version where they're looking at him way far in the distance, and it almost looks like 2 cardboard cutouts that are moving back and forth behind a mountain.
Right?
Yeah.
It is crazy. The low budgetness of the special effects in this movie are about as low as it gets. for a film that, I mean, this film, you know, it had a pretty big budget at the time, 5 million yen, 200,000, dollars in the States. So it's not like they just gave him $5 and said, go out and figure out what the fuck you're doing.
Right.
But I don't know where that money went.
It all went to all the Soma and all the travel, too.
Right.
They had to travel to Faroe Island.
That's right. And it actually went to training that octopus. It went to training that octopus to be able to do all those really great things that the octopus could do.
And I heard there were actually, and this is not just commenting on how many Godzillas and King Kongs there were, I heard there were at least 4 or 5 octopi, and at least one of them was eaten by the end of the night.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Oh.
That is astounding. I'm surprised that they didn't just, and this, you know, having had them go with a octopus, I'm surprised that they didn't just have a, you know, like an actual chimp just like fight someone in a suit.
Be too real.
Well, I mean,
that could have gone bad.
It could have gone bad, but, you know, it would have made for some hilarious footage when you have like a chimpanzee fighting a guy in a midget in a lizard suit.
I don't know. There's something that was particularly disturbing about the way they looked on accident that made it kind of effective for me. I mean, just the fact that King Kong looked terrifying just because it didn't look like it looked like a really scary looking suit.
It looked like they had never seen what King Kong looked like in the original King Kong film.
Did.
That was really my takeaway is they have, I mean, the original design for King Kong in the RKO film is iconic. And then they have this, which looks like a dime store Halloween costume.
Yeah, I feel like it's like you said, like the appeal for this movie was to see a bunch of big fights, and we don't care if it's 2 guys in a suit. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's what it was.
And I'll say this much. I mean, if we're talking the amount of pure Godzilla and King Kong fighting one another, I got more out of this movie than I got out of another big fight film this year, Batman versus Superman.
Yeah. Well, I got more out of this than I did the last Godzilla film that came out. You know, like there's that moment in that last Godzilla where it's him versus the creatures and you see it on TV and then they, you know, go away from it so quickly. And I was like, no. You need more of this. I know like real hardcore fanboys were like, well, if you go back to the original Godzilla films, there's not that many fights. And it's like, well, those are the ones that most people remember are the fights and the ones with more fights. And here you have 2 pretty good fights between these guys. And that's what I want. I want at least 2 fights.
Yeah. And they give us 2 pretty good fights in this movie.
Yeah.
I would, you know, the limitations of these suits notwithstanding, they're pretty good fights.
Well, they go beyond the suits with that awesome stop motion.
Jesus. But, I mean, the way that this film wraps up, though, it really doesn't make me mad, but it just makes me scratch my head a little bit.
It's a little abrupt.
Yeah, it's kind of baffling because they're like fighting and they fall off the cliff and then it just cuts to King Kong walking away and they're like, oh, it's over. Thanks, everybody.
I guess he's going away now. Like, why?
Yeah. The only thing I can think is because of, you know, coming back again for a sequel.
Which never happened.
Well, they did have Mecha Kong.
Yeah, I was going to say Toho did make another King Kong film like 5 years later.
But is Mecha Kong the same thing?
He fights King Kong. The Toho King Kong fights Mecha Kong.
Right, kind of like Mecha Godzilla.
Why didn't we watch that?
Ironically,
I would have rather seen a mechanical ape fighting an ape than an ape fighting just a lizard.
Ironically, the Mecha Kong actually predates Mecha Godzilla and was the basis for him, which is kind of interesting.
Mecha Kong.
I think Chris is Googling.
I'm not Googling. I'm sitting here like wondering when we can get this over with so I can go watch Mecha Kong do things. You know,
Mecha Kong looks pretty awesome too.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day with a film like this, when you have these 2 big characters, for me, the goofiness of the film aside, which there's a lot of goofiness, obviously. We've touched on this already. I would say that it satiates what I want in a monster fighting monster film, which is I don't really care about the human aspect of it because the human aspect of it is never going to be as interesting as the 2 monsters fighting one another. And I feel like this movie understood that.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree.
Right?
I feel like that's what I meant when I realized that I could just watch the fights, like the big action scenes, with the things getting destroyed and the fighting. Then, that's what it was about. And I liked that.
Because I mean, the human characters aren't given a whole lot to do.
No, though they are given a lot more to do in the original version than they are in the U.S. version. I mean,
and see, that's kind of the next thing I want to talk about, Mike, is you watch the American version.
I watch both.
Along with right. And I asked you before we started, what's the difference, and you laughed because obviously, I mean, I'm sure it's night and day.
There are huge differences. Yeah, I mean, there's this whole thing in the American version where we have a different voiceover at the beginning where we show Earth spinning wildly. That's the fastest I've seen Earth spin in a long time. And it's somebody, quoting Shakespeare saying there's more to heaven and earth than has been dreamed in your philosophy. And then it just cuts to stock footage of the UN building. And then it cuts to this guy who is basically going to be kind of our narrator host for the rest of the film. And he's this quote unquote UN reporter who tells us all of these things that are happening, and he's constantly going back and forth between himself, a reporter from Japan, a reporter from Chile. There's this whole thing about earthquakes in Chile that are happening, and then and he has a dinosaur expert on who is fantastic. He's got this looks like a grade school book about dinosaurs, and he opens it up and he's like, Godzilla is somewhat of a mix between the fearsome Tyrannosaurus Rex and the Stegosaurus, or plated dinosaur. And they are fantastic. And these guys are in the movie a ton. And at one point, they even take some of the Japanese footage and they start to VO the Japanese footage to say what the Japanese people are planning on doing, rather than actually having the actors say the lines or anything. So it just cuts out a whole lot of dialogue from the Japanese people. So yeah, it's very different.
Wow. I mean, it kind of just sounds like what they did with some of the other... Well, with Godzilla 1954, right?
I have to say I was very surprised that the people in the submarine and the guys in the helicopter, that those were part of the Japanese film, since they're all speaking English in that. I kept thinking, they shot these white guys, and then they're cutting it back and forth with some of the the special effects, quote unquote, from the King Kong versus Godzilla. But I was really shocked when I saw the Japanese version finally. I was like, oh no, these guys were in the original. Okay. They fit in pretty well with the white people version, the American version, where I was just like, oh, okay, well, they just put these white faces in here to make us more familiar. And then when I saw the Japanese one, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. And then that it was subtitled in Japanese on occasion. I think I would have been very frustrated as a Japanese person watching this, because I was looking for the subtitles to come up in the upper right-hand corner, and they only every once in a while would come up. Yeah. It's like, come on, why aren't you translating more of this stuff?
Well, I mean, let's be honest here. It's not like those American actors in the Japanese version of the film were given a whole lot to do.
No.
So their lines aren't very important. They're more, they're cannon fodder for Godzilla to, murder as soon as he escapes the ice. So, but I felt like they stood out a little bit, and not in a good way, if that makes sense. The American actors in the Japanese version,
right?
Because I was kind of just like, oh wait, why? That to me it never really was explained why there needed to be the American presence, because they didn't end up doing anything anyways.
Yeah.
They were there to die, and that was it. So
it's surprising to me too is that the reveal of Godzilla happens a lot sooner in the American version than it does in the Japanese version. And Godzilla and King Kong are kind of revealed right around the same time, whereas in the American one, Godzilla gets shown a lot earlier. And then we have more of the expedition to Kong Island and all that kind of stuff. So it's almost like the Americans couldn't wait to see Godzilla. If this movie's called King Kong versus Godzilla, you have to show me Godzilla within the first 20 minutes, if not first 15 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Apparently they didn't get the memo for that for the new Godzilla.
Right.
Where they waited like, I want to say an hour until you see the new Godzilla.
Yeah, that's more like the James Cameron Godzilla, where it's like, I mean, that works in Aliens, where we don't see the alien for like an hour into the film. It really builds tension, whereas in Godzilla, I'm just like, show the goddamn monster already.
It's a giant monster. We know what it looks like, more or less.
Where is it hiding? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in Godzilla 1998, it was hiding in Madison Square Garden. It was hiding in the sewers, Mike. Hank Azaria had to go find it.
Yeah. Him and all the raptors down there. I mean, Godzilla babies.
Oh, God damn it. Godzilla babies. Oh, they were raptors.
Yes.
Let's be honest here. They're not fooling anyone with those character designs. Oh, my God. We've brought up Godzilla 1998 so many times this month.
No, not we.
Wait, to be fair, I think, Zach, your brother brought it up, too.
I brought it up as well. And I think now we've invoked it enough times that now we have to do a podcast on it.
You have invoked the name of Matthew Broderick and Godzilla.
I don't think Chris is going to object to that at all. Sounds like he's just waiting for it.
I would not object to it at all. I enjoy that
Let me
movie.
get Azaria on the phone here for this. Where's Jean Reno? I got to get this guy.
Hank Azaria and Harry Shearer.
I think Al Liang's in it for 5 minutes. Let me get him on the phone.
Oh, God. Let's be honest here. Roland Emmerich's probably not doing anything anyway, since they're not going to make a sequel to Independence Day Resurgence. So,
ouch.
I mean, am I wrong? I didn't hear that the movie did very well.
It's time to reboot Stargate yet again.
Now we know why Godzilla Resurgence was rebranded back to Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, it's true. Because people would have mistaken it to be an Independence Day Godzilla crossover film in the States. I would watch the shit out of that, I'd like to point out.
I'd just like to bring up, too, while we were talking about kind of the human part of the movie, it was kind of distracting, and maybe it's just because I watched the original Godzilla a couple weeks ago, but it was rather distracting to have Akihiko Hirata playing the Prime Minister of Japan. Like, when I saw him, I was like, oh, it's Dr. Serizawa, but shouldn't he be dead?
No, Zach.
He survived.
Right.
He survived the...
He's just like Godzilla, who manages to survive everything.
I think they explain in one of the later movies that the Godzilla from the first movie is a different Godzilla than this Godzilla that we're seeing now.
Well, didn't they say at one point, like, the last time the creature visited was 200 years ago or something? And I was like, wait a second, what?
Yeah, because
Does that sound right?
I don't remember which movie it is. In one of the later ones, they show Serizawa using the oxygen bomb or whatever. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head.
Oxygen killer.
Yeah, there you go. They show him the oxygen destroyer. They show stock footage of Serizawa going underwater with the oxygen destroyer and killing the original Godzilla, and then they're like, oh, then this just means there's another Godzilla. So clearly there is something going on.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there are 2 or 3 or 4 Godzillas.
I mean, it's kind of like the Gamera thing where they're like, oh, well, there's more than one Gamera, so we'll just send one of them into space and not worry about the rest of them.
I mean, it's not like now where everyone overanalyzes everything to see how it connects. Back in the 50s and 60s, nobody was like, oh, is that the same one? Do we care? Is that going to affect our enjoyment of the film?
Yeah, true. I mean, and plus back then, I mean, you saw these movies in the theater and then you didn't see them again unless you caught them on television years and years later, because, I mean, it's not like you had VHS players and stuff in the 50s and 60s.
I don't want to say that one version of King Kong versus Godzilla is better than the other version, because I think they're both interesting and they both have some different merits to them. Like, I think that the Japanese version is better made as far as, like, even foreshadowing stuff. Like, there's the first time we see one of the characters, he's stepped in for being in this commercial for this product. And there's this whole subplot about commercials and ratings and all this stuff that we just kind of get a little bit of in the American version, but we get a ton of it in the Japanese version. Well, this guy steps in and he's playing drums in this commercial, and that'll come back later on when he's playing drums to kind of put Kong to sleep, because apparently Kong sleeps better with like a noise machine kind of thing, and he likes the songs and everything. But in the American version, they do play up some funny bits. Like, when they're on the island, since they can redub all the dialogue, they make up new stuff. And at one point, the one of the characters is like, "Oh, my corns are hurting," and the other guy's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Oh, my corns are hurting. They always hurt whenever I'm near a big monster." And then there's some noise on the, you hear Kong screaming, they're all running away, and then we never really see what happens to the guy, but in both versions, next thing you know, he's laying there and he's got a washcloth over his head and he's waking up from being, out. And in the American version, he just wakes up and goes, "Corns." So in the Japanese version, they don't have any corns jokes at all. And I was waiting for them, but no, they weren't there. But so I have to say there are some funny bits. Like even in the American version, there's one where one of the Japanese ladies says, "Okay, we have to go to Hokkaido." And then they cut to the UN reporter guy and he just goes, "Don't go to Hokkaido."
So it seems like then the American version is maybe played a little bit more for laughs.
Well, I think some of it's I think the parts that are in Japanese or the redubbed parts, those are played more for laughs, whereas the people, all these UN reporter guys, they are not very funny at all. And it's really bizarre too, because they have a UN satellite and they keep cutting back to the satellite, I guess as if to show us how we are getting transmissions from every corner of the globe. And it's just like, yeah, there's that shot doesn't exist in the other movie whatsoever. So those guys are deathly serious, but the Japanese people, they're a little bit goofier.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know if I would have enjoyed this movie more if they had played it straight as opposed to having the laughs, because at the end of the day, the designs of the characters are still the same. And seeing, like you mentioned, seeing a close-up of King Kong, like, eating some power lines and, like, making that, like, face, like he's surprised, I mean, that's still hilarious.
I kept getting this, like... I was confused by watching the two versions back to back. I was just like, wait a second. Now, who gets stronger with electricity? Was it Godzilla? And then when they showed King Kong eating it, I was like, okay, well, I guess it's Kong. But I thought they said at one point it was Godzilla who gets stronger from energy. So I was totally confused.
Well, and having King Kong get stronger with electricity makes no sense. No, I can believe Godzilla gets stronger with anything at this point, frankly. Eating fire like Gamera, sucking on electrical cords, eating nuclear waste, that's fine. I'll believe any of that. But King Kong is a mammal. He tries to eat electricity, he dies, as far as I'm concerned.
It is kind of funny, too, that in a movie that was made not too long after this, Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, he was actually powered up by electricity. So they eventually changed their minds on that one.
Guys, there's no consistency here, okay?
I know, it's so confusing. What's canon? What is canon?
I can't take these movies seriously.
The only thing that's canon is in Godzilla Final Wars when the Japanese Godzilla kills the 98 Godzilla.
It's true.
Okay. Yeah.
Which they call Zilla, not Godzilla.
That sounds awesome.
Well, it was Japan's big fuck you to the States for taking, one of their big cultural kind of icons and turning him into a female who has raptor babies. So I can't really blame them. Let's put it that way.
I think it's worth noting that despite, and I believe Mike will back me on this, despite claims over the years to the contrary, there is actually not two different endings to the movie for the Japanese and American versions. Because I remember that was like a big thing, like when I was younger, and even like in the early days of the internet, like everybody claimed that the Japanese version had a different ending where Godzilla won, and that is definitely not the case. The 100%. The movie ends exactly the same in both regions. So
I think for me, I really need to go back because I feel like I've not been exposed to any of this, and watching this movie, there are a lot of like iconic moments, and it's really interesting that you say like to hear about like the conflict between the two different interpretations of Godzilla, but especially because watching this, I was like, oh my God, these are the iconic scenes of King Kong. And then I had to think, like, where did King Kong start? So it's really interesting because, like, how we share or fight over culture that way. And so to me, that's what I'm curious about now, especially after watching this.
And they reappropriated King Kong.
Yes.
Because King Kong is dead. He dies in King Kong.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Right.
So this is like an all new King Kong.
Well, and it's kind of a replay,
right?
You know, the whole idea that, you know, the Carl Denham character, whatever, the Robert Armstrong character,
the Jack Black character, Mike.
Oh, Jesus Christ! No thanks.
That movie is 3 hours long, and it is 3 hours of pure perfection.
Oh God. Are you like that jackass I used to have on talked about how great Shia LaBeouf was?
Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
Let me put it this way, Mike. I know the buttons to press for people that love movies, and that is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Jackson's King Kong. Just push the button over and over again. But seriously, that movie's good.
Yeah. But anyway, it's kind of like a mini version of King Kong, even to the point of like the raft and bringing him back and all those kind of things. And it's kind of funny that, you know, we didn't have anybody in the U.S. who was going over and saying, yeah, you can't bring these smuggled goods into the U.S. You have to have a permit for King Kong.
Right. Well, I mean, like you said, it really is a reboot of the Kong character. At one point, they even, no pun intended, they ape the scene from the original King Kong.
Right.
Albeit on a much smaller, cheaper scale.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that the building he was stood on was so tiny.
Yeah.
The building he stands on is like 2 stories tall. It is a tiny building.
Yeah.
It is not a skyscraper. It's like a small town city hall.
I don't know when the Tokyo Tower went in, but that would have been much better for him to climb up.
Right. And I felt like that whole scene existed for them to be like, get it? It's like the original, because it added nothing.
Right.
Except for it allowed them to capture King Kong to then have him fly away on balloons.
Which was hilarious.
That was awesome.
Which is great, because you get to see a close-up shot of King Kong's face as he's flying on the balloon.
And then when he wakes up, though, is the best.
He's not very happy.
Yeah, and they just drop him on. They just drop him. Just cut the cables
unceremoniously. Yeah.
Well, I mean, my favorite part of this entire movie is when King Kong and Godzilla are fighting, and King Kong picks up a tree and begins to jam it down Godzilla's throat for no reason. It's hilarious, because there's not anything else that they do fighting wise that is close to that. Like, they're like throwing boulders, but I mean, King Kong like grabs a tree and just starts like trying to,
No, it legitimately rams it down.
I mean, he's trying to face fuck Godzilla with a tree.
He's pretty successful too.
Yeah, he's pretty successful in doing so. So I laughed out loud for that, but you know, I got a fucked up sense of humor. So what do I know? Yeah, it's a strange movie that kind of exists in this. It's trying to give Godzilla, the character, something interesting to do while introducing King Kong that, like you guys mentioned, they would make later films off of. So it's kind of like the 1960s Batman versus Superman. They're introducing a new character that already existed.
Giving us his backstory, even though we kind of already know it.
Right. And then also continuing a character that we already know, who is frozen in ice.
Oh.
Why was Godzilla frozen in ice?
I don't know. To me, though, it was really a statement on global warming that all the ice is moving down from the Arctic.
Jesus Christ, Mike. That must have been what it was. They were ahead of their time.
That's
they
right.
really were. I was expecting Zach to chime in. I'm assuming it had something to do with Godzilla Raids Again.
I want to say you're right, but I think there's a lot of the movies in the 1960s where he's actually introduced the same way. In fact, I would not be surprised if they just reuse these, if they just reuse the same footage, because, man, if you watch some more of these Godzilla movies, you will learn that Toho loves their stock footage.
Well, it's cheaper that way, Zach.
Oh, I know.
And to answer my own question, yes, at the end of Godzilla Raids Again, he is entombed in ice.
Yep. So yeah, I guess that does answer your.
So good on
question.
them for at least keeping continuity.
It's canon.
Yeah, it's canon. Oh boy. Well, Mike, skip it or watch it, and best performance.
Oh. Okay. I'd say watch it. I saw it with an audience just like a year ago in Chicago. Saw it on 35 millimeter. Everybody loved it, and it worked. You know, like as soon as you hear those strains of the Godzilla song, people who were in the lobby were just like, "I gotta go back in. Gotta check this out." People at the concession stand were like, "Hurry up with that popcorn! Godzilla's on the screen." I would say watch it. And well, the other question, best performance, I have to say that I love the really kind of Weasley guy, Mr. Taro, I keep saying, the head of the advertising / possibly the pharmaceutical place. He's really kind of slimy and goofy at the same time. Taco, that's his name, Mr. Taco. Ichiro Arishima. For me, he's the high point of the film, even more than King Kong.
And he also has that stereotypically like middle-aged Japanese man look to him.
Oh yeah, he's got the big glasses, the big teeth, the mustache.
He's got he's got like a Groucho Marx mustache going on.
Yeah. He looks like he could have stepped right off of a poster warning about the evils of the Huns.
Jesus Christ. I'm curious, though, and this is something we talked about in our Gamera film. In the American version, I'm assuming it's American dubs of the Japanese characters, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Is it are the American dubs of the Japanese characters, is it racist Japanese dubs? Because in Gamera, in the American version of Gamera, they're like, "Oh, me so sorry." Like,
no,
yeah,
right?
They play these ones straight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good, and they aren't overly goofy for the sake of being goofy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Refreshing, novel concept.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What about you, Zach?
As far as the movie goes, I would say it's worth a watch. I mean, it's not great, but on the same token, I mean, it's just a fun popcorn movie. I mean, realistically, it's the movie equivalent of junk food. I mean, it's something you can watch. It's not super long. It's like an hour and a half. It's enjoyable. You'll get a few laughs out of it. As far as let's see. As far as best performance, I mean, I know it wasn't him doing the voiceover, but Fukiji as Kinzaburo Furei or whatever. He is the guy that did the corns thing in the American version. He's kind of like the comic sidekick to the lead character Sakurai, and I probably enjoyed him the most of the cast of the film, because he's just kind of the guy who just like, he reacts the way a normal person would. I mean, you see a giant monster, you're going to freak out. You're not going to want to hunt down this gigantic gorilla or Godzilla. You're going to want to get as far away from them as possible. So he was probably the most believable character of the lot.
What about you, Sean?
I'm going to say it's worth a watch. I enjoyed it, like, more than I thought I would. Like, I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I liked the scene. Once I stopped trying to, like, follow, I really just enjoyed it for, like, those fight scenes and, like, just, like, seeing like, the old movie magic, and I don't know. It was fun. It's fun. It's definitely funny. I think my best performances has to be the actors in the suits. That's Hiroshi and Nakajima. just because it's just so what makes this movie memorable. I was transfixed on the octopus scene. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. So like, I think that's enough for a watch. You know what I mean? Yeah, definitely worth skimming through for me at least.
I'm going to say watch this film. It's not for everybody. If you have a very low tolerance for camp or cheesy films, you're not going to like this movie. And frankly, I won't like you. No. I mean, if you can't enjoy a movie like this for what it is, you're not going to watch this kind of movie anyways, if that makes sense. But it's a fun, campy movie. It's in kind of line with the other 60s kaiju films that we've watched. So if you've seen other kaiju films from the 60s and you've never seen this one, you kind of know what you're getting into. It's played a little bit more for laughs than some of the other ones, but I wouldn't say it's like a full comedy, and I wouldn't say it's a full children's film like All Monsters Attack is. Best performance, I have to give it to Soichi Hirose, who plays King Kong. He did a great job in that King Kong suit, all things considered. And I mean, you know, for the two of them, him and Haru Nakajima fighting in the suits, like I said, it gives me what I wanted as someone who's watching a film about King Kong and Godzilla fighting one another. And also, it didn't go the route of every versus film now where they fight for a little while and then they team up to fight a bigger threat at the end, which is refreshing to see.
So you're saying that this is much more like a Freddy versus Jason?
Yeah, I would say that this is Freddy versus Jason rather than Batman v Superman in terms of the way that the characters fight with one another. Because neither one of them technically lose or win at the end, just like Freddy versus Jason. Mm-hmm. Spoilers if you've never seen that.
Oh, man.
Dang.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Go out and check it out because it's a good one. But you know, for what it is, I think it's a interesting film. What do you guys think it has on Rotten Tomatoes?
65-60.
I'll say like 70s.
I'm gonna say low 60s.
Wow, you guys give this movie way too much credit. 33% from the critics. 48% from the audience.
I don't think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, it's so memorable.
I mean, mind you, most of these reviews are contemporary reviews.
That's true. I mean,
well, I know Pauline Kael was a huge fan of this one.
That's the problem with a lot of these movies, like going back. Like if you're looking at it from today's perspective, it's like really watching a movie that's this old. You kind of have to look at it from the time it was made, not like compare it to today's like big budget films, because that doesn't make any sense. Like this movie is not going to hold up to special effects done in 2016. I mean,
yeah, but I just think the problem with this movie is the special effects.
No, and I don't think it is either. I mean, I think
the movie's not good on its own.
No, but I think it's one of those movies where, like I said, I mean, it's kind of the movie equivalent of junk food. I mean, you watch it and enjoy it more as a guilty pleasure than anything. You don't watch it because it's good.
Some critics just can't get behind that, man. And you know what? I think because they don't like King Kong versus Godzilla, we should get Rotten Tomatoes shut down.
I think we should just round up. I think we should just round up every critic in the world and just have them all killed.
Whoa. The views and opinions reflected in this podcast do not reflect the website as a whole. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
I think the only one of us that is safe right now is Sean.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have much at stake in the claim here.
Well, before I talk about this Thursday's Kulturecast, Mike, what's going on over at the projection booth? What are you guys working on over there?
We are in the midst of some ultra violence with Straw Dogs and the Mafu Cage and Sunny Boy, and then eventually we'll lighten up here with a episode on Duck Soup. So I'm very much looking forward to taking a little break from some of the dark underbelly of cinema.
And where can people find the Projection Booth podcast?
Over at projectionboothpodcast.com. And available on iTunes and Stitcher and all those fun places you can get podcasts.
Can I get it on my Zune?
Yes.
That's all I care about. Oh, what about you, Sean? What have you been up to?
Just working on a few plays actually right now. So nothing new that's coming out anytime soon. But as always, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm Seanifer, and on Facebook, I'm Sean Liang.
What about you, Mr. Wickwire?
I have been doing way too many things for the Kulturecade. Like I'm playing about 4 or 5 different games right now that I need to be doing reviews for. So I've been pretty busy with getting content up for over there. We also have a podcast on the Kulturecade called Pick Up and Play that you can find bi-weekly. And I am also over on the 3 Counts podcast, Running the Ropes.
We have a lot of podcasts over at cultureshock.com. I'd like to point this out. I guess you just plugged 2 of the 4. You're on the third ones.
Yep, and we have even more coming in the future, so stay tuned.
Oh, if you like podcasts, you know where to come. Oh, that's horrifying. You can follow me on Twitter at CultureStash. And if you like what you're hearing now, head on over to cultureshock.com/Kulturecast. Check out 100+ episodes of the Kulturecast. We're also on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and every podcast app that I could think of. And yes, we are on Zune. If you want to kick a couple dollars our way to help us out, head on over to patreon.com/culture_shock. Big thanks as always to Wovoka for providing the intro-outro music for the Kulturecast. That song is Lament off their self-titled first album. You can check them out over at wovoka.bandcamp.com. This Thursday, we're going to be talking about the Thai kaiju movie called Garuda. It should actually be nicknamed Movie That's Impossible to Find, because it is. Is it? I haven't done any research on it yet, because I'm still having a hard time finding it. Apparently, it is very hard to find stateside DVD. And it's also, from everything I've been reading, not a good movie. But I did not run across anything that had anything to do with Kim Jong-il. So all I know is it's a giant bird monster that flies around in Thailand, picking up ladyboys. And as always, big thanks to Mike for taking time out of your busy schedule to sit down and talk King Kong versus Godzilla with us.
Always a pleasure.
I know it's hard to drag you away from interviewing such big-name people, but us little guys still need love. So
You'll get all my love, Chris.
Oh my. Well then.
Save it for after the podcast, boys.
And Zach, as always, good to have you on to talk kaiju movies.
Hey, no problem. I've enjoyed watching them. Well, except Gamera.
Make sure to check out this Thursday's Kulturecast.